very much benefited from that at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty useful strategy for teams to just use maybe their last 3 seconds to try to get to the ramp, and it's easy points, at least in my opinion. We'll have to see what the team's strategies are for this weekend.
So if we can get a little bit more consistency as far as looking on the field itself and at the actual game and at the actual players towards the end again, you might see that mad scramble. But in the meantime, there are a lot of other ways that these teams can accrue points.
Yes, as we've mentioned before, they've got the solar panel factory, which they locate them in the solar panel grid. They've got the wind turbine, which, as we've seen in this couple of matches, it's something that they're doing on multiple occasions, on multiple matches. We've got the reaction plant, the combustion plant, and we were able to see a Coopertition power line actually being connected.
In one of the first games.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty interesting. We're already getting to see the strategies our teams are going to be using through this whole weekend.
Something that was, I would say, relatively absent last year was that Coopertition bonus, and it usually has more to do with the structure of the game than anything else. And so, again, a lot of different ways for these teams to try to get points for their alliance, and that Coopertition bonus of 100 points is the greatest way, or at least the greatest increment that we offer in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Coopertition is one of the core values of FIRST. They want to inculcate on all of the students and all of the members of FIRST Global Challenge that you have to compete but also cooperate with everyone. So it doesn't have to be a win-lose situation. Both teams can win if they both work together. So I think it's a very good element of this year's challenge, and I think the teams are going to actually juice everything they can out of that opportunity.
I was going to say that the communication isn't just between the 3 teams on one alliance. If you want that Coopertition bonus, it's got to be across the actual field itself to the alliance that you're supposed to be technically competing against. That's got to be quite tough, but if you're able to, I would say, efficiently take care of the points that you need, and when that Coopertition bonus happens, it's because they have those 8 fuel cubes that end up working their way into that central reactor, and then they bring their respective power line cubes to the other and opposing team. The element of communication there's got to be on a whole different level.
Yes, and I think also the teams are going to have to be very mature to realize that, they're working with their opposing village. It's not only them. They can't only focus on themselves, on their points. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for them to get the Coopertition bonus, to get the reaction plant points. So I think they're going to have to mature at least a little bit to realize that, hey, we can work again with our opponents in order to reach a common goal.
So we're going to be getting ready for the next match here. You see preparation happening as we turn around and look at these 4 fields of play. We're going to try to bring you 2 games simultaneously at the same time again once we can get our technical support up and running. In the meantime, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with Marlene. We're doing our best.
Sorry, guys.
If you're seeing anything down at the pits, we might be able to turn it down to Gavi and Sabas. We'll see if they're ready. They'll try to chime into our ears in a little bit, and when they are, we'll pass it down to them. But in the meantime, this game was developed with a lot of different people at FIRST Global, and we're going to be taking it down to Field 2 to see some of the elements of that game in a couple of seconds once these teams are up and running. But the work that goes into building this game is something that takes a long time. There are a lot of people behind its development, and trying to make sure that it's not just digestible, because at least juxtaposed to FRC, at least from your experience, this is a little bit more simple, but there are a lot of different ways, again, to try to work the system, so to speak.
Of course. And this is going to be a very different game. It's a very different experience, of course, because of the different level of expertise that the teams have compared to other competitions on the FIRST umbrella. But as of right now, we're going to go to the field number 2 to see what's going on. So, guys, please take it over.
Yeah, so now here we have some teams ready, and we have in the Blue Alliance, the Blue Village and the Red Village, the line meal is already functioning. Now here we have one robot from the Blue Village that is taking one of the fuel cubes, and we already have another team of the this Blue Alliance, and he's delivering to the human player. So the human player got it, and he put it in the gaps.
What you're mentioning was in the top right corner of the screen. If you saw that blue cube just get placed into that power source for that team, they have 4 different places to place those cubes, correct?
Correct. So in this way, they are going to generate more energy. So this energy is measured in kilojoules. So each kilojoule gives each team points. All right. So we are starting Coopertition in both alliances. All right. So as you can see, we could have the 2 different colors cubes placed right now in the power station of each team.
And even at the bottom of the screen, again, if you're on that streaming service at home or if you're in the arena right now, there are a couple other icons that you see down there. You see that flame symbol in the middle at the top. That stands for the combustion, the combustion center, basically. There are 2 goals that you can score. There's the bottom that works for 5 points, and there's the higher goal that works for 20. And then in the top right corner, you see that wind turbine. That's because they've engaged that active wind turbine. You can see it in the top left and bottom left parts of your screen right now. It's a really cool moving element to this game.
I agree. I think it's all of the elements are so different, and they all complement to make this game as interesting as it is.
And we're going to pass it back down to Gabby to see if there's any more action going on that field. Gabby, take it away.
Yeah, all right. So now the robots are trying to deliver more fuel cubes in the lower goal of each alliance. Here we have in the Blue Alliance, the Blue Village, here we have now 2 fuel cubes. They are also continuing with the Coopertition, and the drivers are so concentrated. As you can see, there are a triangle in each side of the field. In here, the human players are going to take out and pick up the pieces. Oh, we have finished. We have finished the match, so let's wait for the results. Referees are just checking last details, so we are waiting. Oh,
so
yeah.
as the graphics pop up, we're going to give you kind of a summary of the score to this game. And it's only going to be a couple seconds because, again, we're working to the next game as well. But
so on field number 2, we've got a win for the Red Alliance with 916 points, and the Blue Alliance was able to score 160 points. I think it's very interesting to see how a lot of those points come from the solar factory or the solar panels. So yeah. I think they focus on that, and it worked for them.
And I think that, yeah, the term that the game it actually technically says is solar array, if I'm not mistaken. But those points, basically every solar panel that they put up is an extra point per second. So if you've got 5 of those up, you've got basically 5 points per second. So you can see why the teams race for it. In our next game that we're going to have, I know that there's 30 seconds left in this one. We're going to be talking about Malaysia, and the Malaysian people are not foreign to the notion of building pathways, especially because their highway system is actually longer than any other country on Earth. It goes through the whole circumference of the Earth, and hopefully we're going to get them up in the next game once this one concludes. But right now, you've got, again, another skewed score right now, so these teams are trying to sort out the kinks early on. With the remaining 10 seconds, you're going to see them trying to go towards their respective power stations, trying to get some of those last-minute points that we mentioned earlier on.
So that was the siren. That means the game is over. And you know, team, I feel like the reason that we're seeing such skewed results, at least on these matches, is this is the first time that teams are actually getting to play the game. You know, they've been practicing in their fields, they've been practicing in hotels, but it's all, of course it's different to practicing in an actual field with the actual elements. So I think that's why they're trying to discover how it works. They're trying to discover what strategy works best for them. And I feel like during the duration of this weekend, we're going to be seeing some more tight scores and even higher.
And so in the meantime, we're going to take it down to Sebas. We haven't touched base with him in a little while. Sebas, take it away. What are you seeing, my friend?
Hi, I'm in field number 3. The match is about to start. They're doing the pre-game preparations. They're getting their controllers ready, checking connections, and getting ready for the match.
So when you're actually looking at the match, there are different responsibilities that each of these team members have. Can you comment on the positions that they have on the field and maybe what they're doing in particular?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing the robots have to do is to be well positioned before the game starts. So the game starts with all the robots in the Alliance station wall. That way, you cannot put a robot in the middle of the field, and it's like equal for all the alliances.
Okay, Sebastian, we've got the results for match 5 on field number 1. The Red Alliance got the win with 605 points against 140 from the Blue Alliance.
So fortunately, and hopefully we'll have queued up this next game again, I mentioned Malaysia earlier, we're still experiencing technical difficulties, but the Malaysian people aren't foreign to the notion of building pathways. Again, I mentioned earlier on the connections between the people. The highway system that they have is longer than the circumference of the Earth, and so the roads that they build are not just with respect to the ones that we drive on, it's also the pathways that they try to connect personally with one another. The road they've taken to get here is a very inspirational one, and we're going to send you to the video right now.
The way I see Malaysia as a Malaysian itself, that the robotic is actually the future for my country, for our country. Like I said before, we are building a huge network among all the participants across the globe.
STEM and robotics have helped me to unlock new ways of studying, practical and theory to visualizing and socializing.
I'm really excited to participating in this competition because I want to have a discussion with them to create something that the new generation in the future can have a better life.
And we're going to take it down to the field right now where Malaysia is actually going to be competing in this next round. So we'll take it down to the pits in a couple of seconds. But in the meantime, you look at Team Malaysia, the road that they've taken once again to get here. Fortunately, over the course of the coming days, we'll have a couple of videos that we're going to show you around each of our teams, the respective journeys that they've come to get here. And so this match is going to start right now. And we'll head down to the pits. Let's go.
Okay, so we're in field 3 with the match going on. There's a lot of action. Apparently, the Korean robot just got stuck in the blue alliance station. Oh, they're trying to. It's really frustrating. Okay, they got